Oh, all right, I'm back. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. This is Matt Zahner from Vetter Software. I'm our Director of Client Development, and this is office hours for Wednesday, April or March 28th. Now, I noticed Diane and Kat, there's two of you here. For whatever reason, there's only two of you. So feel free to unmute your mic and you can ask me direct questions directly instead of having to go through the chat option. I wish more people would chime in. I realize settings is not sexy, so people don't always attend these things, but I find when I speak with clinic, many issues arise from not looking what settings and configurations can do. So I'm glad you guys are here. You have my undivided attention. So like I said, please feel free to unmute your mics and ask questions directly when they come up. I'm going to do a share screen right now. And you should see my Vetter software calendar right here. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into settings. And I'm going to review some of these. Will be mundane, but some of them are important. And this is also being recorded, so it can be viewed later on the customer community, in the customer community. Now, over time, as we build more features and handle more requests, there just simply isn't enough space right on the chart here on the page. So we've layered another set of configurations over these, right? And this, of course, comes with a whole nother set here. And unfortunately, this will continue to grow, these configurations. It's just no other way around it. The more sophisticated the software becomes, and obviously, the more requests our clinics have, the more configurations there will be. That said, let's do a quick review here. Now, appointment, very simple. Appointment confirmations. This is how your confirmations are sent out. Confirmations can only be sent out via email or text, or no confirmation at all. And this is when somebody calls to make an appointment, and then right when the appointment window pops up, you have the opportunity to send the confirmation. And so this is of course tracked in the client communication history also. Okay. We also have appointment hover overs. Now, this is, and I want to review this here. You can either, with the cursor, you can either hover over an appointment and have windows pop up, right? Or you can disable it and go with a click. Now, if you are a small practice and your appointment window is not, your calendar is not filled up with wall-to-wall appointments, then the hover over might be easier, right? But if you have a great many appointments, the hover over might not be as convenient. And let me give you an example here, okay? I'm going to jump to an account of one of our very large clinics. And to kind of show you what their calendar might look like, right? It'll take a moment to load because it's very extensive in the beginning, right? So it's pretty large. So here, for example, everywhere I go, right, there's going to be, I'm hovering over something, right? And there's literally, there's empty space here on the right to go down. But with a full calendar like this, right, I hover over. Even if I go over here where the doctors are off, it's blocked, right? So this is one of these instances where the hover over, as awesome as a feature it is, might not be the desired option, just because wherever I go, put this cursor, there's going to be a hover over, okay? Now, if I'm a smaller clinic, for example, let me go back to my demo account. In a smaller clinic, right here, like my Vetter my Vetter, I don't even have any demo accounts appointments here for today. If yesterday, it's like, okay, here the hover over is convenient, right? But maybe for other clinics, clicking is convenient, where I can only access the appointment by clicking. Okay, so just to give you an overview of how this works, because many people say, "Oh, I love the hover over." Well, as I said, if you have a lot of if you have a full schedule, it might become cumbersome. And in this case,
remember, did you email me any?
In this case, the click might be more convenient, right? So just to make people aware of that, okay? Let me go back and enable the hover overs for my account, okay? And now, billing record lock. This is optional, but I want to review this.
Sounds like good.
I do not have this turned on. A lot of clinics, and sorry, I'm getting background conversation there. So I'm going to go ahead and mute right here. I'm just picking up I'm picking up a conversation from a clinic there. Unmute yourself if you would like to ask questions directly, just because there's 5 clinics on right now. It's a little better. Now, the billing record lock, notice I do not have it enabled. So a lot of clinics want to enable the billing record lock as a form of security, right? It means that, any ads, edits, deletes, need to be approved, okay? And otherwise, but what happens is that, because you want to do that as a security measure, and I understand that, but what happens is that then oftentimes clinics will always go, oh gosh darn it, I wanted to edit the bill, I wanted to do this, and I want to do that. And so understand, if you lock them, it's an optional feature. It would, like it says, a password will be required, to edit anything that is dated on or before the applicable date. All right, so any past invoices need a password in there, and this is something that you have to decide on a clinic level. Okay, billing statement footer is easy and self-explanatory, just like the estimate footer and the invoice footer. This is what goes on the bottom. Now, cost plus pricing. I'm sorry, check-in billing. And you've seen this in my emails. I always want people to create an invoice at time of check-in. Understand, if you create an estimate at time of check-in and then convert the estimate, it will convert to an invoice, and it will then be tied to that appointment, which will then reflect in certain reports, such as referral source summary reports or sales by appointment type reports and other appointment types. So either one, check in with an estimate or check in with an invoice. It's okay. I like, as a default, create invoice. Now, if you have no default, it's up to your staff. But I always recommend create invoice, okay? Cost plus pricing. This is what you can, for example, and I mentioned this in my tip of the week. This is your markup for an inventory item, right? If I have, if I want to mark up an item 150%, I would go to the item, and 100% being the base, I would put in 250%. But if I would like it to also include shipping and tax, then it will also adjust the price accordingly. So, for example, I'm going to include shipping and tax here, and I want you to see something. So I've never entered purchase orders in Vetter with shipping and tax. But let's go to here. Let's go to my Moxie. I'm just pulling up a sample item. And as you can see here, I have 250% of average cost. The Moxie costs $1.35 a tablet. Okay. Now, what I could do is, let's say I go to a purchase order here, and I view my purchases, and I'm just going to edit the very last purchase here. And note the cost was $1.35. And I have no shipping and tax here, but let's just say I did. Let's just say shipping was $9.99 and tax was, I don't know, $3.46. Okay. is going to then, right, it's going to adjust. Notice it went up from $1.35 to $1.37. It's not a big deal, but it went ahead and went up because it will also include the shipping and tax, and that's advantageous to the practice. Okay, and that's something you can discuss on a clinic level, on a practice level. Do we also want to include shipping and tax in our markups? Okay. And I'm going to put this, I'll leave it as such. Default appointment and medical reminders. This is for, right, vaccines or prescription refills, any kind of medical item you want a reminder for, and you have the option of this is what the default is, right? So in this case, every appointment automatically comes 1 week prior. And I can edit this to be any form of reminder and for any date range. And you can even, if you want to remind people after the fact, like, hey, you should have come to this appointment, you can also do so here, although that's highly unlikely. Moving down, locale, pretty straightforward, rabies certificate footer, right? Payment terms, okay? Take a look at this. This is, hey, this is your late fees. When do I want to apply late fees? 30 days after, 45 days after, 60, what have you. We chose some arbitrary dates there that work for almost all of our clients, okay? Now, if I change this and I want to do, for example, a net 30, notice 36 invoices are impacted. Let's say I want to do net 30 instead. And I want to apply late fees, and I can choose this, 1.5%. 1.5% tends to be standard because it's 18% annual, and most states have laws, usury laws about this, and don't allow you to apply more than 18% annual late fees. But that is, right, germane to your state, okay? And notice if I change this, and it's going to take a moment, it will notify me from a task that it's completed, because you got to go through a lot of invoices. But it will change the amount of invoices that are affected. While it's doing this, please also note, how often do I want to do this? One time or frequency? And do I want this to start? Do I want to give a grace period? Some clinics want to say, hey, even after 30 days, I'll give you a grace period of maybe 5 open days, 5 days, 10 days, up to you. Total due, right? You can do all invoices or just the most egregious offenders. And I want to apply this to, right, all unpaid or new ones. So we have a lot of options there. And when that task is completed of the recalculation, it will let us know. Now, by the way, you can also go ahead and on a client level, you can exempt people from this. This is a feature we added a couple months ago, right? So if you have clients, maybe they're shelters, well, see, here's our new task, and it's going to tell us for larger projects, right, vendor will assign a task and say, hey, it was completed successfully, okay? Now, for certain clients, maybe they're family, friends, shelters, low income, example, et cetera, I can exempt people. And all that takes is going here and saying exempt from late fees. Maybe some people, by the way, since I'm here, maybe some people don't want to get statements or taxes either. I wish I could be exempt from taxes in the next month. But unfortunately, here you can say, hey, exempt from late fees. And you do that on a client level, okay? Now, I'll jump back to settings. And by the way, this is the second configuration. When I just saved it, it's going to, when I did the second save on the late fees. And now we take a look at our payment terms. And, still the same 36 invoices who are late and owe us. But this is how that system would work, okay? Now, had I changed this to 2%, right, then we would have had a change all the way across the board, too. Other things here, schedule increments, right? It divides into 60. How do I want things broken up? 5, 10, 15, 20. I found that 15-minute blocks on the schedule work best for the user interface in terms of being visually appealing. And that's what most clinics have theirs set to. The schedule view. Now, depending on your preference, some clinics prefer the list view, and the list view just simply changes the providers from being on the x-axis to being on the y-axis. Okay, so for example, if I go back to my schedule, it will now be, oh wow, here they are, the providers on the y-axis instead of being the x up here. And some clinics prefer this because they might have a lot of providers up here or a lot of walk-ins and what have you. And so this is a different way of having to work in the software for you. And I say, Matt, he has, these guys. And now we also have with this some little different features. We have the client profile pictures available just because the formatting is different, right? Here's Homer Simpson, here's Santa's Little Helper, right? And I can have all the information right here. They've already been in there, they've checked out, right? So it all depends how I'd like this to work. In this case, Sagi had no appointments. That's my CEO, slacking, lazy. And the shaded area indicates the times my clinic is not in use. Okay. Coming back to our settings, and I will change that just because we have a small, obviously, staff for demos, and I will bring it back to classic. Gotta love that marketing. It was a Coca-Cola, classic Coke, classic view. Another key thing is session timeout. We have clinics, a few every day, calling and saying, my God, we're getting logged out so quickly. Well, you can control this here. This automatically logs users out of the software if they've been inactive. And some clinics want a very tight logout session timeout parameter, right? Because of they want a younger staff, maybe staff's inexperienced. They don't want them leaving the account open with inventory access or billing access. And you might choose 30 minutes, right? But this is clinic-wide. Please understand that, okay? You want a longer timeout session? Choose what we do, 8 hours, okay? Weights, measures, time zone, vaccine, etc. These are all fairly straightforward. By the way, speaking of weights and measures, we plan in April to have in the app itself, in the software itself, having a metric to standard conversion showing, so that, because I realize that medicines are dispensed in metric terms, and right, we weigh our animals in British units, right? Standard 10 pounds, but 10-pound animal gets a 2 ml, and sometimes you have to worry about this with dosage calculators. And by the way, our dosage calculator is coming out in the next week to week and a half. That'll be really neat. In the software itself, you'll be able to have a dosage calculator for animal weights. Okay. I'm just going to pause, see if there's any questions. I think it's fairly straightforward. Just want to see, no one's chatted anything, but like I said, feel free to unmute yourself and ask directly. Other configurations here that matter. Okay, this is a one that is odd. I'm going to jump ahead to appointment types. I look at so many clinics accounts, and last week I was in Georgia and Tennessee, and I drove up the I-75, and there are a ton of veteran clinics between Atlanta and Nashville, and I visited a number of them. And I looked inside, and the amount of clinics that don't have appointment types was stunning. And we have clinics always calling us, how do I add an appointment type? I mean, everyone just has the default regular checkup one. Well, oh my gosh, you can make this, configure this to be whatever you like. So appointment type, I make a new appointment type, right? And I just say, gosh, let's just call this soft tissue surgery. And this is going to be 60 minutes in length. And everyone loves, this is my Google Chrome autofill, sorry, it's popping up there. I want this to be yellow, and then I can just, or in the greenish area. And I can just move things around to find the right hue that works best, right? And then I hit choose, and then I hit save, right? And then that appointment type is here, right? There's our soft tissue surgery, and I can add this to the calendar, and it makes it easier to read. And I kid you not, over half of our clinics we did an audit other day only use default appointment. Please feel free to add as many as you like, okay? Other thing here is view devices. Now, this will take a moment. Okay, this is going to take a moment to work. And I'll let it spin. And while it's spinning, let me explain a few things. What's happening here is if you have Abaxis analyzers and or if you have the Card Connect integration, since both of those integrate with Vetter wirelessly, that means the terminals, the Card Connect terminals, and or the Abaxis analyzers. Now this takes a moment because Vetter is calling out, right, to those terminals and is asking them to respond. This is not an easy technological feat to do. This will let you know at any given time if your devices are online. Now, I don't have the Card Connect integration set up in here, but if something were offline, it would let you know. It's also valuable if at the end of the day you want to check and see, well, have we run our tests? Now, obviously, a demo account, we never run them, but in real life, this matters. Why are there 53 tests that are pending, right? What's going on here? This is a good check and balance. And if you have the Card Connect terminals and ever are suspicious, run the View Analyzer configuration. It'll tell you if it's online or offline. If it's online, obviously everything's working fine with the software. There must be a different issue, and it helps you troubleshoot. Granted, in a limited way, but it's the first step before calling support. Okay? I can look at my clinic hours here. I can set up payment types, printers, rooms, etc. So let me go through a few of these items here. Okay, and I'll go. One of the ones is in taxes. Okay, so I'm going to do email defaults last. That's a little bit more involved. Now, marketing campaigns. This is, for example, let's set a new one up. I put up a local, let's just say, a flyer vaccination promo, and I'm going to go around and hang them up on door handles, right? Door handle hang up in neighborhood, okay? And the cost of this, I paid a local agency to do this, was $500, okay? Now I hit save and done. Now this campaign has now been added. This shows you the campaigns that I have added over the last year. Facebook ads, the local Redwood City Times, this is where our office is, door flyers for local neighborhood. You get the idea here. Flyer vaccination promo. Okay. Now, if a client is checking in, right? Hey, and it could be an existing client, a new client. How'd you hear about us? Right? And I need a vaccination, and I'm Homer Simpson, and I'm here with Santa's Little Helper. Now, they were originally referred to us by Dr. Seuss, and that will not change. On Homer's profile, Dr. Seuss will always be the original refer. It's kind of like your first kiss, right? Never forget that one. And that's always there, okay? But, hey, how'd you hear about us? Oh, it was the flyer. It was the flyer vaccination promo. Sorry, I have a number of these. And then boom. Now, why is this important? This is important because it will yield data for your marketing referral source summary report. And if I follow through these steps here, I'm just going to do a very quick check-in, right? Boom, boom, boom. And by the way, note this for later. These are the email templates. There are default messages for every communication that goes out from Vetter, but you have a way to customize those. Now, that's a little foreshadowing for later. And I hit save, and I now come to, okay, Homer. I'm going to check Homer in. And always check someone in with an invoice or estimate, and these are outstanding invoices they owe us. And I'm just going to add a quick bundle here. Say it's the annual vaccine bundle because it has vaccinations in there. Okay? And I go ahead and I do this here. Boom, I hit next. I hit save. And now there's going to be an invoice tied to Homer Simpson and Santa's Little Helper. Okay. And once I've collected payment on that invoice, it will then yield data in our report. So let me do a quick payment on the invoice. In fact, let's make it the desired way I teach people. Check people out from the schedule itself, because when I do this, it allows us to pay for all of the invoices if need be. It also enables us to add any extra documents that need be. In this case, hey, let's get the vaccine certificate. And we're going to have Tomer's going to pay via, let's say, via Visa. And I hit checkout. We're not going to export anything. And now the appointment's checked out. Homer has paid. Okay. If I now go to reports and I come to my referral source summary report, here is our vaccine promo. So checking people in this way with an invoice, tying it to a referral source is going to yield data that is valuable. This is editable over any date range, and it's going to give me my ROI, right? Return on investment. Right now, obviously, my investment's not bearing fruit, but I've only had one client. It will bear more fruit down the line. So that's a very valuable feature that's underused. I highly recommend people use it, even if it's just for clients. Let's just say, for example, I'm going to edit this date range. I'm going to grab last year here. Maybe you guys your clinic doesn't do right outward marketing, but you really encourage client referrals right here. And I can see that Bruce Willis was a valuable referral source over the last year. And he obviously doesn't cost me anything, right? Dr. Seuss was pretty valuable with 2 referrals, as was Jane Goodall. Papa Smurf, bit of a slacker, only 1 referral. Get the idea, right? And I can go ahead now and get an ROI, and maybe I write these people just a simple thank you card. Maybe I give them 10% off next time they come in, but this is how recognition is built, how loyalty is fostered, and thus a healthy clinic prospers. But this report is valuable, right? Even if you're not doing an active marketing campaign, also by checking people in with invoices so you can see who referring clients were, all right? Quick pause, see if there are any questions chatted in. No, we're doing fine, okay? And now I'm going to come to other configurations here, okay? Now, viewing printers, I'm going to tell you, is always have your, I like to say, we can connect all the printers in your clinic. The Google Cloud Print at time is sensitive, and I'll tell you why. Because Google always updates its browser features. And when they do so, amazingly, they don't call Vetter and tell us that, and that may throw the printer offline. But the most common way that printers get thrown offline, and I know this from our support queues, and we analyze this, is that someone in the clinic will turn off the computer to which the demo label printer is connected. And they call us and the dyno's not working. Well, someone had turned it off, and then we have to go through the whole setup process again. Don't ever turn off the computer to which the printer is connected, because it will deactivate Google Cloud Print, and that is just how Google has it done. But this shows what's on. This shows what you're using. Need help with this? I will tell you. Always call our support team, because it's technical and they're much better at it than I am. Okay. Yes, I have my limits. Also, payment types, right? You can add as many as you like. I can always move payment types around. Notice when the cursor becomes a little crosshair or kind of the Maltese cross, I would say, you can always move these around. Now, you're going to have certain payment types that are default. Maybe if you're using our Card Connect integration, and maybe this becomes the default up here. Because oftentimes clinic staff will, they'll hit return quickly because they're opting for the default one on top. This is how you order these and put them in the place you'd like them to be, okay? Coming also to here, what else can we take a look at? I can add payment types very easily. Is our rooms. Now, if you're using our clinic census, and this is actually, let me edit this here. Kind of silly. I don't need to have multiple exam rooms. I already have an exam room number 2. I don't need to have an exam 2. And this is useful for the clinic census. Okay. And also, these are rooms for your boarding facilities. As you can see, most of these are for our boarding module. Right here, surgery, recovery room, etc. These are for our surgery. I'm sorry, mostly for our boarding facilities. And I can easily add new rooms by just coming to new room, right? And then saying, hey, gosh, this is the exam room, right? Number 4. And this is for treatment. This is notice it's in our census, treatment right here. And I hit save and done. And there it is. And this is then used in our census, right? If I want to track animals and see, let me find, do I have everybody checked out? Okay, here, I don't have, Santa's Little Helper wasn't checked out. If I come to the census for that day here, let's go back to right here, the 27th. He's in recovery room number 3, right? And I can move him around and say, gosh, he's in now the back treatment room. And depending on the size of your practice, this may or may not be important, but it's a valuable feature if your practice is large and you want to track where people are. Speaking of which, our whiteboard or our treatment board is due for release in early May, and that is also will enhance the clinic census, which right now just shows you where animals are. To have a treatment board or whiteboard will add even more value to the software, and that is coming soon. Okay. Jumping back to here, the only other thing I think I want to cover are taxes. Now, it's easiest if I just start by creating a new tax. And this could be, anything. Let's just say I'm going to state sales tax, and I'm making this up, 6.5%. And it is the jurisdiction, if the type is state, right, or right, city, county, what have you. And let's just say it is North Dakota. Yes, we have clinics in very many strange places, which is why you see these here, these jurisdictions. Jurisdiction, where's North Dakota? There we go. Good. And I can apply this to any and all inventory categories, right? It can be made, it depends on your state laws, right? Maybe it is just for retail purposes, right? Or food items, or maybe it's for everything, right? Entirely up to you. Now, when you save it, be aware that it will take some time because it has to apply this to every, right, the tax to every item in that category. It takes a moment with a little spinning barbershop pole down there. And this will show you then all of your taxes and how they're applied. Okay. And here is the state of North Dakota, the state sales tax right here. Now, what is this based off of? This is where Vetter then relies on your address. And I hadn't forgotten this. I'm coming back to it at the very end. These are your addresses. Where is Vetter located? If this is, for example, in our software, we have a city tax, right? And so this will show, hey, city tax right here. And if it were a county tax, right, it would then pick up the county and everything. So it's based on the address of where you're at. Now, if you're mobile, it's smart. Vetter knows the address of your client. If you're mobile and you're crossing state boundaries, you go from, say, North Dakota to South Dakota, and taxes are different. Vetter will assess the tax based on where the service was delivered. It uses the address of the client to determine that. Okay. Now, the last thing in settings here I like to review are the email defaults. Okay. Now, Vetter has, right, for every communication that leaves, there's 15 different communications, be they, right, a statement or a checkout document or boarding reminder or deposit or what have you, right? Vendor's going to send something out, and there's a default that goes with it. You saw the default for the appointment confirmation that comes out. But maybe I wanted to read something else. Maybe I want my appointment confirmation to say, refer us to a friend and get 10% off, or appointment reminder, be sure to arrive 15 minutes prior to check in, to fill out necessary paperwork, and bring your insurance card with you. Okay, so let's take a look here. I'm going to go to the schedule right here, and I'm going to grab let's say we do an appointment. I'm going to do let me check somebody in very quickly. Okay, whatever, it's acupuncture. The complaint is, I'm just going to say exam. Be very quick here, adding someone. And notice this. Let's say it's the message right here. And it says, I'm just going to copy paste this. This is our default message that goes out for an appointment confirmation. Okay. Now, I'm going to jump to here. Let's say I want to change that. Oops, I'm sorry. That was for appointment reminder. Just double check that. Yes, appointment reminder. And let's just say, where do we change this? In our templates. We use our letter templates. And let's say I create a new letter template, and I'm going to call this appointment reminder email. And the type is a letter. I then hit save. This will be the outgoing message. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy paste this right here. And what I'll do is this. I'll hit dear, and just so it'll apply to everyone, right? Dear owner. I'll say first name and then last name. Okay. Looking forward to seeing you. Because right now I was just previously first name, so it said Gargamel's first name is Mr. Looking forward to seeing you, and let's put the pet name in here. Patient name on, right? And here's where I can also, because I want this to be, right, appointment information. I want this to be on appointment date, and here I want the time, right? And I do this. And if you need to reschedule your appointment, please call us at, and this is where I could have the, right? This way it works all the way across, clinic phone number, or contact us at clinic email. Thank you. And I can keep that here, or I could just make it very, here, clinic name, right? And right here, please be sure to arrive 15 minutes early to fill out necessary paperwork. Okay? Simple as that. I hit save. Now, right, and I can do this for any outgoing communication, customize this. I now go back to my settings. I come to configurations here. I hit view email defaults, and I come to my appointment reminder, and I now click edit. Now it's going to show me the default, or I can grab any of my letter templates. Appointment reminder email. Okay, now there it is. If I come back to my appointment now, this better work, right? This better look good. I'm going to come to here, and let's make this appointment for Azrael. And I hit Gargamel and Azrael. And now I hit next and next. And notice this, the message down here. Hey, we're looking forward to seeing you. Everything fills in appropriately. Please be sure to arrive 15 minutes early. This is very powerful. You can use this for marketing, for referrals, to encourage business, to add certain messages for the time of year. Hey, hope you also have a great Easter this Sunday with you and your family. Wishing you the best for this holiday season. You can adjust this for the seasons and to, again, connect more closely with your clients in a more empathetic, let's just say, sterile manner. Because let's be honest, these default messages are sterile by design. Now customize them to meet I would say, the temperament of your clientele. And I hope this is very powerful. I want to make sure everyone understood that. See if there's any questions. I guess I did that well. All right. Now, the only other things in settings, I'm almost done in a few minutes here. Only other thing in settings as follows. These are your extensions. There are many, many extensions now. Vetter is integrated with a great many companies now. Like Ally DVM does as a business intelligence tool. We've just added them. Well, this is live in my demo account. It'll be enabled in yours very soon. This is another lab integration. They are local to the American Southwest. Card Connect. We are, now we have Demand Force, which is a marketing module, right? We're adding and adding and adding. We're really excited about a new one we added is Vitus Vet, which is probably the best kind of client portal option that's out there. Our Vetstoria integration, which is online appointment booking. We're adding another one called Next in Line. They also do appointment booking. So what we're doing is we're taking the top 2 or 3 in the industry, in every space, be they marketing, be they client portals, online appointment booking. And we're going to present these to you. And we present them in, I would say, a rather fair manner where I truly have no skin in the game based on whom you pick, right? But we will let you choose the best, I would say, extensions that add on value to your clinic, okay? Only other things here are permissions. And permissions, of course, is controls. Each staff member has a role, and this controls what they can and can't do in the software, right? So receptionist might be able to access everything in the schedule, but very little in the billing. And we start with defaults here where we think this might be useful for your staff, but you can always change these. You can just say, hey, they get no access to billing at all, right? And then all the rest of these are shut down, right? You can simply hit save, and that saves everything. And this is how you can control permissions for everything. Finally, this is where your staff goes. A couple little things on staff. For questions we get a lot, people often ask, how do we get signatures? Well, we have the capture signature option right here. And if you have a tablet, you just draw it. Or if I'm on a laptop, or you can use Etch-a-Sketch. I call this the Etch-a-Sketch. Oh gosh, let me reset that here. I call this the Etch-a-Sketch tab. And if you're of my generation, you'll remember what Etch-a-Sketch is. Not the easiest to use, right? Or just go ahead and you can type it so it looks like something like off a DocuSign, right? Boom, I can do it like that too, okay? But something else about staff is this. People often wonder, I don't want to be on the schedule. I want to be an admin, but I don't want to be in the schedule. Well, no problem, right up here. Oh, sorry. Display on schedule or not display on schedule. And also to prevent employees from, how should we say, fudging their time cards. Some of them can log in, let them log in after hours or not log in after hours. Only your most trusted employees should be able to log in after hours. Okay? So that is a run through of settings. Of course, your subscription, this is where you put payment information and you can update your subscription at any time. Templates, I cover separately because it's a whole different ball of wax, and I just did those, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, but I will always circle around and do those again, like I said, every 5 to 6 weeks. Okay? This is an overview of, I know it's dry, I know it's not the sexiest, but this is what automates a lot of things in your software. I just wanted to show you the pluses and minuses of certain configuration options. Okay. Let's see if there's any last questions. Oh, we have one. Yay. In the future, from Crystal, will we be able to choose staff and give them specific allowances? Yes, Crystal. So specific permissions. For example, I have one receptionist who's my evening go-to person, but I can't give her allowance without giving all the others the same access. Yes, so later in the year, we're going to revisit permissions so that they will not be role-based, they will be employee-based. That's actually a lot more difficult to do than someone thinks. But yes, Crystal, we will be doing so because you are not the first person to ask this. But allow us to build that whiteboard first. And by the way, coming up very soon is, I said, our reminder functionality will improve greatly. We're going to have a way to, for all reminders that vaccines that come in series, that is going to then be automatically done. So let's say a 1-year rabies automatically sets a reminder for a 3-year. That's coming up very soon, as is in the next 2 weeks, a whole reconstruction of our billing statements to be much clearer and easier to read. So we have a lot of new features coming in. April is going to be a huge month for us. So Crystal, yes, let us finish these first, and then we'll get to that. Other than that, there's any other questions, I thank everyone again for their attendance. This meeting has been recorded. I will put it on the customer community. And again, this is Matt Zahner with Vetter Software, and I look forward to helping you guys grow your practice in any which way possible. Take care and have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.